Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. No one can stop the PDP-LABAN National Council Assembly this Monday as it was called by President Duterte himself. That's according to a statement by the party released by Secretary Raul Lambino. He said only President Duterte, as party chairman, has the sole authority to call a meeting based on the party's constitution. The statement lambasted Senator Manny Pacquiao for discouraging members from attending said assembly, saying that his move has no legal basis and will only result in confusion among the members. The party says this is their first major meeting during the pandemic and ensure that minimum health protocols will be observed. The Philippine National Police says it is open to any probe into the death of NDFP's consultant Reynaldo Bucala. PNP Chief Guillermo Elizar said that it is within the rights of Bucala's relatives and colleagues to seek an independent investigation. Elizar adds that the PNP Internal Affairs Service will conduct its own motu proprio investigation to see if there were any lapses on the part of the operatives. Bucala, who was tagged a high-ranking official of the CPP, was killed in an alleged shootout last Friday evening. 11 suspects were killed in an anti-drug operations in Bulacan and Nueva Ecija last Friday. According to the police, the slain suspects drew their guns when they got a sense that they had sold shabu to undercover agents in the towns of Pulilan, Pandi, Obando, Bustos, and Balagtas. 7 guns, drugs, and drug paraphernalias, 2 motorcycles, and marked money were recovered from the incidents. Meanwhile, in Nueva Ecija, police say suspects had a shootout with anti-narcotics agents in Barangay Bantug, Hacienda, and La Torre in Talavera, Cabanatuan City, and San Antonio Este in Lupao. 4 guns, several sachets of shabu, 2 tricycles, and a motorcycle were recovered from the scene. Malaysian authorities have turned over to the Philippine government 8 Abu Sayyaf bandits arrested in Sabah almost a month ago. Based on an information by the Joint Task Force Sulu, Sansibar Bensyo, Babar Binda, and their followers were arrested during a raid on a mangrove swamp in Taman Sri Alhuna. They were tagged in the kidnapping of European bird watchers in 2012 and Indonesian fishermen in 2019. Task Force Commander Major General William Gonzalez said the bandits were planning to set up a cell in Sabah to facilitate the entry of foreign terrorists in the Philippines. According to Naval Forces Western Mindanao Chief Rear Admiral Torbillo Adasi Jr., personnel of Naval Task Group Sulu and 4th Marine Brigade escorted the bandits to Sulu, where they are now detained. The government has lifted the temporary deployment suspension to Saudi Arabia after the Middle Eastern country assured the OFWs will not shoulder quarantine and other health protocol costs upon arrival. JC Cosico with the report.
This is the reaction of some OFWs after they were told that the temporary deployment ban to Saudi Arabia has been lifted. 35-year-old Warda Maulana got emotional and immediately called her relatives in Maguindanao. The domestic helper in Jeddah is scheduled to fly to the Western Asian country.
All I can say is alhamdulillah at natutuloy na po yung flight ko ngayon, araw, inshallah, inshallah. Pinakinggan ni Allah po yun, panalangin ko. Maiiyak ka na lang na malaman mo yung natutuloy na ang flight mo. Sayang-saya, in the first place is hirap tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Unang-una magtatrabaho tayo para sa pamilya natin. Pangalawa, yan, yung saya mo, hindi mo ma-explain yung saya mo.
43-year-old Joseph Tibus was also relieved as he went to NAIA Terminal 1 this morning, hoping that he will get the flight to Riyadh. He works as a product and support specialist in a banking company there.
Tuwang-tuwa po kami mga OFW, very happy po na makakabalik na kami ng Saudi. Sobra po, sobra. Kasi siyempre yung work, yung kabuhayan, yung, yung work tsaka kabuhayan nandun talaga. O, kailangan.
The national government issued a temporary deployment ban to Saudi Arabia on Friday. This after the Labor Department learned that some foreign employers refused to shoulder the cost of their workers' institutional quarantine. Labor Chief Silvestre Bello III said he finally received a letter from the Saudi government assuring them that employers and sponsors will pay for the quarantine of OFWs.
Probably they found na yung ating request is well-based and justified. Kasi unang-una sila naman nag-require na i-quarantine yung ating mga OFWs. And alam naman nila that our OFWs are there to earn a living. Hindi pa nga sila nagkatrabaho. Baka babayarin mo na sila, di ba?
Bello urged OFWs to report to authorities should their employers fail to fulfill their promise. There will be 2 flights bound to KSA today at 4 in the afternoon via Philippine Airlines. The Labor Department told OFWs who missed their flights yesterday to not worry. They ensured that they will assist them in rebooking, reswabbing, and visa processing.
Ayaw namin na pagdating nila doon ay mapapagsamantala sila ng mga employers. So we have to be very sure that there is any strict order from the Saudi government nang dapat magbayad sa quarantine expense ay ang employer. So yun po ang aming ginawa.
For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Now, here are the stories we're following across the nation. The Interior Department plans to deploy 50,000 police and fire protection personnel to assist the country's vaccination drive. More Filipinos will be vaccinated in the coming weeks as the A4 priority list will already be up for inoculation next month. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the uniformed personnel will ensure the smooth rollout of vaccines. Samal LGU has implemented a temporary suspension of all resorts and private gatherings amid surge in COVID-19 cases in the island city and neighboring areas. Samal Island's Mayor David Uy has passed an executive order suspending all tourism activities in the island except those certified by the Tourism Department to have passed its staycation program. The suspension will be effective from June 1 to 14. 39 barangays in Mandaluyong, Pasig, Quezon City, and San Juan will experience water interruption from Wednesday 11 p.m. until Thursday 9 a.m. This as Manila Water will conduct a cut-and-plug activity on the old main line along Ortigas Avenue in EDSA to prevent further pipe breakage in the area. 18 barangays Mandaluyong City will experience water interruption. In Pasig City, barangays Bagong Ilog, Uranbo, and portions of Capitolio, San Antonio, and Ugong will be affected, while 9 barangays in Quezon City will experience water supply interruption, and residents of 10 barangays in San Juan City will also be affected. Now, fully vaccinated individuals still fear contracting COVID-19 once they take off their face mask in a closed setting and in public places. Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security senior scholar Jennifer Nucho discusses the attitudes towards mask wearing and public gatherings in this Bloomberg video.
I understand that hesitation that everyone has. We had to upend our lives and learn new ways of living for the last year. So I think for a lot of people, it's going to be hard just to flip the switch and go back and to even remember what it was. I was once talking to a psychologist who likened it like getting a cast taken off. If you've ever had that happen, you see that, your arm is atrophied a bit, the skin is a bit pale. So it takes time to build back those muscles to going back to being out. We've been so, scared about restaurants for so long in particular. So I think it's going to take some time for people to adjust. That said, I am still most worried about the people who aren't vaccinated and, want to focus on reaching them and talking about how it does enable a path back to those activities. And even if they're still doing it right now, it allows them to do it without any worries whatsoever.
Doctor, are we worried about them or worried about us because of them? There is a difference. Which one is it?
I'm worried about them. I mean, if you're vaccinated, I don't worry about you. You're protected. The likelihood that you could get infected from them is incredibly low. And then the likelihood that even if you were in some slim chances, and there is a slim chance,
because
but
that's
it's
important,
incredibly
Doctor.
low.
That note is really important. When I say us, I don't just mean me. I mean the healthcare system, all of us in it together. That was the story of 12 months ago. If it's just about them now, isn't that about their own personal risk and their risk tolerance and what they choose to decide to do?
Yeah, I'm not as worried about the health system becoming overwhelmed again. I mean, first of all, the best thing that we could have done was vaccinate people over the age of 65 because we know that's the biggest risk factor. Vaccinating nursing homes, which have contributed to about a third of the deaths that we've seen. So we do have some good protection, but I don't want there to be any additional loss of life at this point. And so I'm really interested in making sure we have a vaccine to protect people, and I just want people to understand how liberating these vaccines are.
So you recently just were fully vaccinated. Do you go out to eat? Do you not wear a mask? And do you feel totally safe?
So I haven't yet gone out to eat because I've been busy, but I would. I absolutely would. I would probably still, because I've got young kids, choose well-ventilated places, and I would probably still, because the weather allows it now, try to eat outside if I can. But again, not for me and my husband, but for our children. In terms of masks, I actually find that it's a little bit trickier, in part because the norms haven't fully changed. Where I live, a lot of people aren't wearing masks, but some are. My kids have to wear masks when they're out. So I sort of try to read the vibe of the place. And if I feel like my not wearing a mask is going to bother people, including my children, I will wear one.
Okay, but this is actually kind of important, this idea that it's become a social token in a way to wear a mask for people who are vaccinated more than anything that actually does something. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be clear, I am wearing it more because I don't want to make people uncomfortable than I'm wearing it because I'm trying to protect myself.
Jennifer, we're opening up. I mean, we can feel it each and every day. You can feel it in New York. It's really, really tangible as well. What's your timeline back to normal? Is it September or is it a mystery?
Yeah, I mean, I have expected that this summer is going to feel a lot more normal. So to those people who are scared right now, I think over the next few months, they'll start to feel less scared because they'll just see things changing around them and it will start to feel less scary. I think the fall is still looking good in my projections. That said, we always worry that when the weather gets cooler and people start heading indoors more, that in places where there is not great vaccine coverage, we could see outbreaks. So if you're living in one of those places where you think most of your neighbors and community members are not vaccinated, then maybe you have a few more worries heading into the fall. But I don't think we're ever going to go back to those hideous numbers that we saw last winter. That's really thanks to the vaccines.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 2:15 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.